Welcome to Let's Play Theldrow. This is a game that was written by Glenn Andreas, who is the author of Cythera, but it was his first RPG. He wrote it in '88, and when he stopped updating this game, he went on to write his scenario editor, Delver, which became Cythera. But I thought it would be fun to try Theldrow and show a little bit of it, so I recently started playing some of it. It is a very tough game, so I want to say right up front, I am going to be cheating to finish this game. It's not long, but it takes a long time to build up your character, and because there's no saving, it's very easy to get your characters stuck in a state where you just don't have the money to revive them, or if the game crashes or gets stuck in a menu loop like it sometimes does, your character can get corrupted. So it just isn't really worth the effort of building up a character in my mind. So I've put together kind of a quick little tips and cheats guide that will have some of the cheats I'm going to be using in Sheepshaver, but at first I wanted to show this running in kind of a mini VMAX type emulator. This is web-based, but I wanted to give the experience of playing the original black and white game a little bit without cheating and show it is hard, but you can do it. And then I'll hop over to Sheepshaver, but you can run it in Basilisk 2 or QEMU. Any number of emulators will work. So let's just hop in and start a new character here. I'm just going to call them Test because this will be just a quick character. I'm going to show a little bit of the documentation here. Yeah, it's going to be a first-person game, kind of in the vein of Might and Magic or Wizardry. I think some of the early Ultima Dungeon levels as well. So we're going to have some characteristics: Strength, useful for fighting; Intelligence to cast magic spells; Wisdom for clerical spells; Dexterity for thieving and some extent fighting; Constitution is useful for fatigue, I think, to an extent, and Charisma is useful for haggling. So one of the interesting things, you'll know all the magic spells right up front, and same for the cleric, but you don't cast the cleric spells. They depend on the deity you follow. So there's a well-defined mythology for this game. Inventory, moving around. I'll put all this stuff up on the website, so there's no reason to try to read it all here. Magic, as I said, you know all the spells up front. It just depends on your personal power, if you can cast them. Cleric spells are based on if you have the divine favor, kind of like a measure of karma. If you've played Cythera, there are elements here that are kind of similar to Cythera, in that, for instance, you can pick a lock, or you can bash a door, and there's spells that open doors. So you do have those choices to make, which is like Cythera, but it's not as complicated. The game is really quite short. You're just trying to collect a few certain items to open a portal, and it's really not that sophisticated, but it's an interesting game. One of the interesting things is there's a well-defined, I don't have the file mythology of Theldrow, but there's all these different deities. Barabaku is kind of a general good one. Apik is pretty good. Susa a little questionable, and then you have ones like Lim here, who's pretty neutral, and Waban is just outright mischievous. So as I said, he went on to write Delver, so here he's talking about his goals to make a scenario editor, which became the basis of Cythera. The backstory of this game is quite different, despite the shared similarities and the shared author, and I think a little bit of a kind of an Easter egg in Cythera that mentions Theldrow. They're quite different games. In this one, it has a very different defined history. Your father is a scholar, mostly a historian, who was making some important finding a decade ago. He set out on a mission or an expedition, and he never came back. And you moved to a monastery with your mother, but after she recently died, you've decided to find your father. So you've set out for this city of Bowden, which is right next to Cravenshaw Castle, because you know he was going to Cravenshaw Castle. And the game starts with you nearby Bowden, trying to see if you can figure out what happened to your father 10 years prior. So let's just go ahead and create our character. So we already talked briefly about the stats. Now as you decrease them, you get points back, like 10, but now it's only 5. So you get fewer points back as you decrease, and 2 points are free. After this, it doesn't affect it at all. You can go to negatives, but it's just hurting you at that point. So really, you're not going to be able to vary it too much, because as you do more, that's 20. Now it's 100. 20, 60, 100, something like that. It increases as you put more in, and it decreases as you put fewer out. So you really only end up with a specific margin where you're making changes. Let's see if we can make a character who's a little bit smarter, maybe a little bit stronger. We'll serve Barabaku. I think you get 5 gold for every point left, starting with 200, so we should end up with about 225, 220. Yep. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is the game window here is this first-person type perspective, and you just kind of click to go forward or turn left or right, and we're on the path to Bowden, so let's follow the fork. One tip is if you play this game without cheating, if you turn right down this first fork, there's a den of what looks like spider webs up ahead, and that'll take you into an area of spiders. And if you are smart enough, we're going to see if we are. Okay, I don't know if we'll make it. If you're smart enough, you can get a fireball off on this group, and if you can get one fireball off, then you're usually okay. I'm going to see if we can do it with dagger since we build up our constitution and strength a bit. But apparently our character is not that smart. Okay, so we're getting fatigued, but our health is still okay. Okay. We defeated them. We'll take the spider glands. So now we have, those are useful in casting some types of spells. So for instance, web we can cast with the spider glands. Okay, and there's a scimitar here. So this will be a far better weapon than our dagger. So I'm going to go and equip that. So this is a better start for the game. Unfortunately, these wild boars are very tough. But as long as we have enough strength, we should be okay. Our fatigue kind of wears down not only as we fight, but as we travel. And if either your fatigue or your health run out, you die. And when you die, as I said, there's no saving, only quitting. And that saves. But if you die, you just have to take money to revive yourself, and it takes half of the money you currently have. Let's use our cleric ability to see if we can cure some light wounds. We feel better. So these radial lines, the length of them indicate the divine favor that we have, or the karma, another element kind of similar to Cythera. If you get caught stealing, for instance, it lowers your favor, but if you do good things, it increases it. And then you also have the different levels, level 1, then level 2, then level 3. And this top left is level 1, then you have level 2, 3, 4, and 5. And each one is going to indicate how much favor you have left in that category. So we start out with a little bit of favor in terms of being able to heal light wounds. Okay, so we're outside the door to Bowden here, but we've got to fight these big rats. Let's see if we can... will that cure us a little bit, maybe? Does this give me more attack abilities, much less? Yeah, so you can use these to... These cleric abilities can help you to learn things about yourself and your enemies. I don't think we're going to make it into Bowden, though. Because we've just about used up all of our divine favor. And we don't have much left here. Okay, maybe we'll make it in, but I don't think we're going to make it far. No. This is also a bug. The load and money seem somehow to be tied into other things. Now my request is not granted because I don't have any more divine favor. I'll just have to let the money go. Are we going to die on the way? Yeah. Your fatigue drops as you walk, right? So we died on the way into Bowden. Okay, so let's try again. As I said, it just takes your money when you try to revive your character. Yep. Now, unfortunately, we have used up all of our divine favors, and we have only half of our health and fatigue left. So I think we're into one of those dying cycles. Yeah, we died again. Okay. You get the gist. Very hard game. It's kind of luck-based. Like, if you have another character who gets that fireball off initially, you will probably get quite a bit further. In fact, I've been able to play this game through a quarter of it with a brand new character in like 5 minutes, just on luck. I mean, if you happen to get fireballs at the right time, you can get 1 or 2 of the key items that you need, but if you really want to play the game, like to get those last few items, you really have to work hard because you've just spent a long time building up your character. So I just wanted to show you that, but I decided it wasn't really worth the effort long term, so I'm going to hop over to Cythera, where I have a bit more, or to Sheepshaver, where I have a bit more of a sophisticated setup here. In the lower corner I have a full map. This is a hypercard stack that is available on Macintosh Garden, where I also got the game. And this gives us a full map, all the parchment, everything. And I also have Pandora's Box set up with a whole bunch of cheats. Pandora's Box is a universal game cheat. It was written in a time where you could have apps look into the memory space of other apps. And basically what it does is it looks into the memory space of your current game, and you can search for specific values, like if you know your strength is this number, you can find that number. Or you can just look for an unknown value, and if you're in combat, for instance, you can see what changed, what didn't change, and that could help you find like your health, for instance. Or you could sell something and see if your money went down, that type of thing, or money went up. So using that, I was able to find a whole bunch of things about this game. How to set the components, how to assign divine favor in the clerical levels, and also change your stats. So I will be using that just because it's not worth the time, I think, to build up a whole character. And this will also be the color version with sound. But I'm going to be playing it pretty quickly, mostly following this map. And as I said, I have put a page up on Cythera Guides, which has the tips, and it's also going to have the offsets and things that I'm using in Pandora's Box. So if you wanted to play this game without cheating, you'll have some tips, and if you want to do it with cheating, then you'll have some options through Pandora's Box. And I'm just going to play through it so you can see the full game. Okay, so let's make a new character. I'm going to call him Bellerophon in reference to the default character in Cythera. And again, we saw all of this help already. It's nothing new here. None of this will matter because we're going to be changing our abilities in just a moment here. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay. So all these offsets I'll make online, but for now I'm just going to go ahead and change things. So I'm going to increase my strength to be 200. Intelligence, I've tried putting it very high, and what I've found is if it's too high, you actually can never get spells off. So I'm just going to set it to something like 30. Wisdom, I think you can set that to 200, no problem. Dexterity. This is actually Constitution. I called it Confidence on accident because I think he has a typo in the improvement spell. It says it makes you more confident, and it changes this stat, which should be the Constitution. But also a couple of them are switched. Oh yeah, one is robust and one is confident. They seem to be switched maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, we're making ourselves more magical, more devout, better. Deity Affiliation, I also have listed all the deities. There's only 3 you can pick from, as you saw, and you can only switch from any of those to Barabaku. But there's actually like 21 or 22 in the game data, and we can go to any of them. I'll change to a Pika, I guess, who's 2. Okay, so let's change our health. I'm going to set our max health at 32,000 and freeze it at 32,000. So basically I'm going to make us unkillable. Well, let me freeze the money at 32,000 so we also can't lose any money. The game time counter just counts how long the game is gone. The sleep counter, when you go to the inn, it automatically resets this back to 0. The game is designed so that you can't go too far without going back and getting sleep, otherwise your fatigue starts to take a big hit. So you saw I started out with 3 in L1, 1 in L2, and none of these. So these are the different levels of clerical abilities, and every point in here means you can cast one of the different clerical abilities. So we could do a few light healings, but not really anything too much beyond that. Spell usage, I'm just going to freeze that at a low number. Let's give us some of the material components. I'm just giving us a handful of each. Black diamonds, I'll just give us a bunch because sometimes I use the Divine Intervention to kill everything. Okay, so now you see we're in the color version, which looks better. And you can hear the sound. This time I'm going to do a fireball. And we should be able to make it work. So there you go, that's the sound. A little bit over the top, if you ask me. But we get this scimitar here, which I can equip. But we're a very tough character because we cheated, so we're not really at any risk of anything. And we have so much strength that everything will fall before us on one hit. Okay, so let's go ahead and buy the great sword. And you can haggle this down to different amounts. I'm just going to accept it. We have unlimited resources. Yeah, that's the only thing we can get. The weapons shop. Oh, you know what? I'm going to sell the ones I don't need. Okay, let's go over to the armory here. I'm going to buy a kite shield, and then I'll buy the plate mail. Okay, and this is the barkeeper. I don't think he ever really says anything. Let's ask him about our father, Leoric. I remember a scholar years ago researching the castle, is all he tells us. And he'll tell us that if we have enough charisma, which we do. Otherwise, you have to bribe him with some amount of money, which we could also do. But I think that's the only thing he tells us, is that he was researching the castle. This is the inn. It starts out at like 5 and 9 and builds up. Our character is so high that in terms of all the stats, we're so high that it's a huge number. So, and we don't ever need to sleep because we set the stat counter to never sleep. So we're kind of an invulnerable character. Again, you can play the game, and it is playable, but it takes a long time to build your character up, as you saw from the few minutes that I showed. And I probably could show little snippets here and there of what it looks like when you play further in the game. Okay, so this is a parchment that if you come into this with a new character, you won't be able to read everything on it. I can read everything on it. It tells us the shop of the bazaar is to the south. But that's because I have this somehow better stat really high up here. Somehow better is kind of like a luck stat, I think. Just like divine favor is like a karma stat. And when you start with that really low, in fact, let me just set that to a low number so you can see. I'm going to change that to 1. And now I can't read this. There are huge parts I can't read. What you're supposed to do is use comprehension. You enter a trance, you write it down. And now I can read the full message. It translates it into a standard message I can read. But you have to have a blue sapphire to do that, which I gave us. I'm just going to set our somewhat better stat back up to a really high number. That way, any parchment or anything we come across, we'll be able to just read. Okay, this should be the grain store, I think. Let me... Yeah, this is the abandoned warehouse. I don't think it serves any purpose. Okay, Omar's is here. You can buy and sell gems. So let's just sell like 10 gems. But I gave us tons of gems, so it didn't really matter. Another piece of parchment that we can read without needing to have comprehension. Bazaar is all the way south. Yeah, see how tough this is. You can't get much gold, and you also have to deal with enemies inside Bowden so much. It's just very hard. Like I said, I've gotten through a quarter of the game before without cheating, but it's not that easy. We don't need any potions because we have everything locked at such a high number, and we were already at the weapons shop. So, let's go into the Temple of Barabaku. So we were a Pika, and we can convert from a Pika to Barabaku, and we can also pray and tithe to increase our divine favor. Let's go ahead and convert. And this is a good time to show you the Deity Affiliation. There's a whole bunch of different ones. So for instance, Waban was number 6, right? So if I just update that here. This guy is Mischief and Fire, who is hated by Barabaku. Yeah, lest you incur the wrath of Barabaku. So Barabaku does not like this guy. But there's other ones who he's a little more neutral towards, like Susez, the one who is lightning, you just get a generic welcomes you. Not as warm as the welcomes all followers of Apika, but welcoming nonetheless. And then there's ones that he doesn't like as well, but he doesn't hate. Like, I think 15 maybe is the Void. I'm trying to remember if he hates this one or not. Yeah, he just doesn't like this one. He says, "Begone, he does not welcome you." I'm going to stick with 12 is Death. I'm trying to remember. You have to do that to update it. Okay, this one is Hunting and Commerce, I think. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. There's Sickness, there's Healing, there's any number of them. 20 plus. They're implemented, but they're not really finished. So this one is Scooge. Yeah, like none of their temples are actually instantiated. There's just the Barabaku one. Here we go. 17 is Death, Nar. And everybody is pretty neutral towards Death, and Death is about the only one who's neutral towards everyone else. Certain ones, like War and Sickness, kind of like Death, and Luck, for instance, hates Death, but most of them are pretty neutral. I think we'll stick with Death. Okay, that's the Grain House. Let me show you that there is a secret passage right here. So if I go to the other list here where I can search an area, I found a secret passage, and there's a pit down here. This pit is going to take us into the Bowden Caverns. And down here is where we're going to be able to pick up our first item. In fact, let's go ahead and do that and then recall, so you can see a couple things. Okay, so I'm going to need to take 6 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me search again. Secret passage to the right. Okay, so now we're in the Bowden Caverns. We're just going to go up to that bell. There's an ogre. I don't need any money. Let's use a fireball. Oh, these guys are pretty tough. Divine Intervention is going to kill everybody. And because we have such high favor, I mean, we cheated to get there, but that's beside the point. We can, Divine Intervention, we can use any of these spells anytime because we're so high level. So, incidentally, the Void, it doesn't really explain in the documentation what this one does. This one is just a riskier version of Improve. So if you cast Improvement, it just increases one of your abilities here. Your confidence, your charisma, one of those abilities increases. It doesn't actually put any danger on you. The Void will put danger. There's a risk that your character could die. So it's kind of like a risky version, but you don't have to have such favor to use it. But if you cheat, then it really doesn't matter. We have gems already. I'll just show you, if I pick up this potion, I can use, I think it's Identify. Okay, Potion of Life. So this is like a healing potion. I'm just going to drop it. We don't need it. So we got the bell. That's useful to us. Okay. I'm just kind of speeding through the game and showing you what different parts of it are like. Okay, we should be back out in the hallway here. And I think this character might be a high enough level to go back up through here. Yeah, this character is so high level I can go back up through here. Most characters at the start are not high enough level to do that, so you would actually have to use Recall. And Recall takes you back to the beginning of the game. So it would be the same as if I'd gone up here, except instead of being there, I'm back at the start of the game. So we explored everything inside there. We picked up one of the first items. Let's go ahead and explore around the Lost Wood really fast, and then we'll finish exploring this map. The game is not that long, really. Okay, so we're here now. We want to get to the end of this. So if you turn to the left right now, you'll get stuck in a loop of just going back and back and back. But if you go all the way to the end here, and then you search, actually you don't need to, it's just a transparent entranceway. It takes you here, into the Lost Wood. So now in the Lost Wood, I can go turn the corner. Okay, and here I am at the bazaar. So I'm going to go ahead and buy the compass. This will tell us what direction we're facing. So right now we're here facing west. Griffin feather used for levitation, blue sapphire for comprehension. We really don't need these, but they're going to increase our components. Yeah, so here you can buy a scroll of recall if you want to. And then you can use, if you don't want to spend the money again, if you have enough power, you can use read magic to use that scroll without having to waste it. I have enough magic, I don't really need to worry about it. So that's just showing you some things that you can get at the bazaar. And then going back over all the way to the end, we can get to the hermit. Okay, so voice says, enter seeker of knowledge. So the hermit is here. Now, if our charisma were really low, we'd probably have to bribe him. I'll just bribe him up front so that we have everything we could ask about. So let's ask him about our father. Some 10 years ago. Does he say anything about the time frame? Oh, no, he talks about the bell. So there's 4 items we're going to need to get. Let's ask him about the castle. Yeah, the Crav Castle is to the south. It's the nexus point. The Dark Wizard Crav studied the dark. So what about the dark? The Crav's Castle is the nexus point. What is the nexus? Cravenshaw Castle holds a nexus to the world of the dark. Does he say anything about the world of the dark? No. The dark still exists buried deep beneath the earth. Okay, so the dark is in a portal beneath the castle that Crav has. And there's a few items that we need to pick up. We already got the bell, right? And he says that represents the unknown. Does he tell us about that? No. I know from just beforehand that we'll also need to have a candle. That's knowledge. We need to have a skull. That's death. Does he tell us about death? Nope. And we'll need to have a book. Krell the Mad Prophet foretelling dark times. Who was Krell? Krell the Mad Prophet. Okay. Does he say anything else about the book? Yeah, nothing more. Hermit doesn't really say much interesting stuff. I mean, there's not anything that groundbreaking that we're finding out here. Okay. Now, this pathway leads us back up this pathway, which is an endless cycle. So it's just going to go again and again until you take this fork to the left. So let's do that. And, whoops, one too many. Okay, and now we're standing up here. While I'm at it, let me go ahead and show you this passage. I can't do anything with it, but once I find the passage through a search, I can go back and forth now anytime in and out of there through the passage. So let's go down this hole. This is going to take us into the Catacombs, which is where the book is located. Yeah, let's go ahead and get the book, and then we'll recall again. Let's use Divine Intervention. Divine Intervention kills everybody. That's why I gave myself a whole bunch of the diamonds. Okay, so I think we're here right now. Let me just check that we're facing south. Yep. So we need to go over a couple. Then we have to go up and around the corner. At a certain point, I might end up turning off the sound because I do find it annoying to listen to after too long. Okay, so we're going down this hallway now, so let's just keep going down. This is one that it is really hard to follow. So you have to go around the corner, and then there's going to be a secret passage over there. The compass is really useful to orient yourself, because you can easily get lost without the aid of the compass. Okay, there should be a secret passage to our right. Okay, and we went through the passage, so you really can't tell. You just don't get enough perspective, in my opinion. But it was a product of its time. There just wasn't a whole lot out there. Okay, so we're right next to the egg chamber, so let's keep going south. We're going to be in the egg chamber here. Really no one's any threat to us. Yeah, we're in the egg chamber. I get out of here fast. Doesn't matter to us. Let me show a couple different things. So, for instance, we can cast a magic missile. Should be able to. Yeah, so the queen is dead. We've been doing fireballs. We can do scare. So now they're all scared. Nullify makes it so they can't damage you. Lightning bolt kills them. Levitate is useful for avoiding falling into pits. Cone of Cold. Let's try again. So that killed them. So there's some different ones. Web will freeze them. It uses a spider gland to do that. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and kill them all now. Okay, so inside this chest is going to be the book. There's some money, another potion. Everything is kind of randomly spawned, I think. I have played a couple times just testing the different stats and things. And the potions and everything seem to change. So. Okay. I'm going to use our Scroll of Recall. Okay, so we're going to be back at the beginning now. Okay, so this time, let's go ahead and explore south. Yeah. Sometimes the sound gets glitchy, I don't know why. Okay, an old tunnel to the river to the southeast. Yep, so we're standing here outside Bowden. This door is locked. I'm going to go ahead and open it. That's not what I want to do. Oh, let me show you a different way of doing it, like I'll bash the door. Our character's strong enough to bash any door down. So we're back outside the gemsmith now. And this would have been the view if we'd gone straight south. So it said there's an old tunnel down here, and sure enough, now that I've found that passage, I can go back and forth anytime between here and that passage. So let's go down this tunnel now. And we're in the old tunnel. This is going to take us under the river. So let's go ahead and go under the river. And now we come out this set of stairs on the other side of the river. And we're standing outside Cravenshaw. So I'm going to go inside Cravenshaw here. And we can wander around a little bit inside the castle. One thing I'm going to do is go down into the wizard's bedroom. This is going to be the Cravenshaw Cavern area. This remains the bedroom. So if we search here, we find an iron key. I'm going to go and pick up that key. And everything's kind of interconnected. If I go through here, there's a passage to the right that actually leads out into the main tunnel that we were in earlier. So it actually connects up to all these caverns and things like that. But I guess I should recall again. Go back to the castle, because I didn't actually mean to go quite that far. Okay, so we picked up the iron key from the wizard's bedroom. Right, so that was the passage we just took. The wizard's bedroom is through here. A bunch of rats in here now. But anyways, I don't know why the sound does that sometimes. I might have to turn it off, actually, if it starts to be a problem. Okay, so there's some messages in here. So these are parts of a journal. Today I entered the dark world. If I don't return, maybe these notes will help. So this is a journal left by our father. I'll go ahead and save it, I guess. One thing, if you're running out of space, you can use a magic chest here. It's kind of like, I don't know, like the Heraldric Cube in Diablo. You get expanded storage space. So I'm going to put a few of our messages inside of there. You get like a separate inventory. But yeah, I'm just wandering around inside of inside the castle. So there's notes strewn about inside here in different rooms. All the quadruparts entering Dark World tomorrow. So as I said, we need to collect a few different pieces, and those the bell and the book are part of the quad parts. So as I recall, there's nothing inside there. There's another message out here. Finding Inshaw's or Crenshaw's notes. Careful not to disturb anything's place. I'm not going to want to carry all these, so I'm going to leave some. Okay, so we really explored all that. There's a big rusted door here. Now, I don't think anything will work on this door. Yeah, even bashing with or knock, it doesn't work on this door. So what you have to do is equip the iron key that we found in the wizard's bedroom by searching, and then you can click on it and you can unlock it. And now that that's unlocked, we can go explore the library and laboratory. This is the library, and there is a piece of parchment on every part of this floor. This one tells us the quad part is the key to unlock the entrance to the Dark World. This one tells us the second quad part is a candle. This one tells us the first quad part is the Skull of the Goblin Nernst. This one tells us the fourth is the bell. And this one says the ordering. The first goes north, second east, third west, and then you wave the fourth one to the south. And then I think this should tell us the last one. The third is the book. Yeah. Let's go ahead and put these inside of our magic chest. I haven't quite figured out chance to cast. I know that you have to have a certain level of the intelligence to cast things, but if it's too high, it seems like your chance to cast falls to 0. So it could be a bug, like load has a bug associating it with the gold value. I'm not quite sure I understand how that happens. Okay, anyway, so we've explored all up here. We took the passage from Bowden. So let's go down and what would be the best place? We went through the catacombs. Maybe we should go through the crypts. Yeah. Let's I'll just go down. I'm going to show you this room here, the old storeroom. We'll have to go through the crypts and get the first part. Maybe we should do that last. We could do that last. And then we could just come back through here. No, I'll recall now, and then I will go to the crypts, because we should go there at some point soon. It's not a very long game. I'm just trying to pick the best order. Okay, I'm going to go around the corner of the fork. So if we go to the end of this path, to the right is Bowden, and then the Lost Wood was over this direction. So instead of going to the Lost Wood, I'm going to turn left and go up to the crypt. So this is the entrance to an abandoned cemetery. Only crypts remain now. And there's kind of tougher monsters here, zombies. We can use exorcism to kill these ones, because they're all undead. And we get undead bones by killing them up in the crypt. So that pit is one place you can get stuck if you don't have recall. So it's easy for your character to get stuck early on. This door will take us down into the crypt. So let's go ahead and open it. The door is now unlocked. And there's actually a trap here. So if I detect traps, the exit in front of you is trapped. Do you want to try to remove it? Yeah. Okay, so I've removed the trap. Otherwise, it would just pop up saying there were traps, there was a spike, or spikes or something. Okay, so we've explored this full map now. Let's go down to the crypts. Oh, let's just go all the way to the end of the hall. This is where most of the undead ones are. We don't need any more components. Okay, at the back here is a secret passage that's going to take us through around the corner. This one's locked. Now it's unlocked. Another secret passage. Okay, so we're in this room. Up here is an abandoned temple. It's no longer holy, so there's really nothing you can do with that temple. There's a secret passage down here. This one is full of secret passages. Let's exercise these ones. It's locked. Are we poisoned? I wonder if we're poisoned because... No, we're healthy. I thought I kept hearing effects like we might be poisoned. Let's open this door. Let's go and just kill them in a fashion. A bunch of different enemy types. Good bit of goodies here. All sorts of things. There's also a ring here. We haven't looked at rings yet, so let's do that. Let's use Identify again. Okay, it is a ring of defense. I'm not going to bother to equip it. You can click it and then you'd have a B-ringed hand, but I'm not going to bother because I have more than enough rings. Or more than enough defense. I don't need anything from rings. Okay. And this door will take us into... knock. Okay. This door is going to take us into the caverns. So we got everything there. Let's go through the catacombs. Let's go ahead and get the candle. Yeah, so this is the entrance into the ant's nest, which we just went into and then recalled from. So we spent some time in there. We went down to the egg chamber. I'm not going to bother to stay. Well, ideally not. I seem to have gotten turned around. What direction am I facing here? West. Here we go. Back out in the hallway. Okay. Let's pick up the candle. So the candle, you have to go down around through... If you try to go through this door, I'll just show you. Okay, so we have to go down around the corner. That door's locked. There's nothing but enemies in there, as I recall. Okay, if you try to go directly through this door right here, it's just going to take us back out of the hall. If we go instead... I really don't want us to get another quad part. Oh, we ended up back at the start anyways. Okay. Let me just unlock this door. I don't want them to have... Can I pick a lock too? Yeah. So our character can pick locks, of course, too. Let's kill all of these guys. Yeah, so nothing inside there. Now we have to get to the end of the hall and go through this kind of maze-like thing, and then you go once around and there's a secret door that leads to the room with the candle. So, yeah, it's through this door, and then, yeah, secret passage on the left. So we need to go through that passage, and now we're going to just go back and forth through this little maze-like area. Okay, and we should have a secret passage on one of these corners. I'm not quite sure which one. To our right, okay. So we found the secret passage, and now we're in the room with the candle. So back here in the corner, guarded by these rat men and things, is the candle. Okay, so... Now we're back out in the hallway. And we've explored all of this part. So we finished everything really except these catacombs. So let's go to the end of the hallway. Yeah, so this point is collapsed. We can't go any further. 3 steps up. There it is, 2 steps. There's a secret passage here that leads into these caverns. And I'm going to go ahead and collect the 4th part. And we're going to end up back in the storeroom that was next to the library that we came down through the iron door. So everything kind of connects. There's a whole bunch of different ways to get down here. I'd say they're clearly concerned that we're getting so much of the quad parts. That'll deal with that. Every step in this room that has the skull has these mice. They're not that tough of an enemy, actually, but they're annoying. Oh, whoops. That is not what I meant to do. What direction am I facing? Facing east. Okay. We should be back in the storeroom here. Yeah. Okay. So we actually came in through a passage that I don't think we can go back through it. Yeah. Unless we find it. Yeah. Once you've been through it, it can open. If you try to come in through it directly from the other side, I think you have to go through here and throw a lever. So that lever opens. Let me also show you the guard tower really quickly. You kind of go up this winding stairway, and it takes you into a guard tower. So there is an exit in this guard tower. At one of the corners, maybe it's this corner, might be the opposite corner. Yeah, there is an exit, so if you didn't want to go back through that way, you can exit here, and what it does is it takes you back above ground, outside the guard tower, right by behind the library. So, yeah, we basically can come back in through the... I don't know the sound. I might have to disable it again. But we're so near the end, I don't know. So we're just go back inside the castle, back through the iron door, back downstairs into the storeroom. So that's where we threw the lever and the way to the guard tower was. But we have actually explored everything, and we have all the quad parts. So I am going to quickly quit here and then come back. The reason is because I've had the game crash at these points where we try to open the portal, and then you just have to play back through everything. And since there's no way to save except quitting, it's just better every once in a while to quit the game. Okay, so now we're in the old spell room, and looks like it did crash. I'm going to have to reboot this really quickly. Give me a moment. Okay, I'm back. I just had to reset the emulator. That's why I quit and saved, because it is kind of unstable. And you can imagine if you spent a long time building your character up, it's kind of annoying when you have it crash. Okay, we're in a dark, foreboding tunnel. Now we're in a part that seems ages older than the rest of the castle. So what we're going to want to do is place the quad parts in the order that we were told. And one thing I'll mention too while I have this reset here, this stack, this hypercard stack that's on Macintosh Garden, it has all of the scrolls saved in it as well, all the parchments. So if you, this is a nice useful guide, if you don't have them saved, like I have them saved in the magic chest, this shows you everything, finding the notes. It tells you the denizens have stolen the quad parts. He found all of them, and then they got separated again. They didn't translate everything. I'm not sure who the original author was of this. I have translated all of this. So this says, I'm convinced this place was made by the dark, though they must all be long gone by now. This says the first quad part is the skull of Nernst the Goblin King, as I recall, or Nernst the Goblin. And here Nernst was an evil goblin king slain by unknown powers. But all the others, we've seen these, the Book of Krell, the Iron Bell. We wave this to the south to open. The quad parts open the entrance to the world. So, yeah, we know all this. So let's go ahead and put the skull down. Okay, so the first part goes to the west, the second goes to the east. And then, I think the third is the book, goes there. And then we should be waving the bell to the south. As the echo of the bell dies away, the wall in front of you shimmers and fades. Okay, so now we had gone down through all that, and we are inside of, we open the portal, we're inside the Dark World. So this area is like a maze of teleporters. Different ones are going to teleport you to different places, and there's also notes strewn about in here. So let me just go forward once or twice. Day 36, captured by the Ettercaps. Okay, I just reached there. That teleported me up to here. So let's see, I can go straight up this way, get another message here. I'm convinced this place was made by the dark, though they must be long gone. Oh, I don't want to use a bell for combat. Okay, that teleported me down to here. I think there's probably another note along here. And they teleport you to different places. Oh, a giant toad, we haven't seen that yet. Let's go ahead and just kill them all. I guess we're kind of in a loop. I was hoping to find a few more of the notes really quickly. Ah, here's one. Thelos is not a god. I believe it is a portal that they fear. I find out soon. So Thelos is the portal we have to go through. Yeah. There should be a note somewhere in here that says, so he was captured by the Ettercaps on day 37. And then there should be a note that says they plan to sacrifice him to Thelos. Oh, there's a note. Let's see if we can find that one. Yeah, they plan to sacrifice me to Thelos, some sort of god or monster, I think. But then, of course, here he said Thelos is not a god, it's a portal. So that's enough. The notes are strewn around in here, and you can see them all in that stack if you want to. So let's go ahead and see where we are. I have a feeling we're right about here. I'm going to go to the end of the hallway down there, because if we are here, this should teleport us to the end. So what direction are we facing here? Okay, we're facing north, which means we were not where I thought we were. I'm kind of just going to have to wander, because I do not know. I'm facing west. See, the load and the money seem to be tied somehow, I'm not sure. I can just freeze our money back at a higher value and it'll be fine again. So you can kind of wander around here. If you actually come straight in and go to this teleporter and then to that teleporter, and then you walk down to, I think, here and there, you can teleport straight to the end. So it's kind of like a little zigzag thing you can do. But I was picking up notes, I wasn't paying attention, so. Oh, I think I know where we are now. Okay, I think we just went up there, so now we're here. So let's turn east. So this one should not be a teleporter. Yep, we're now here. So now let's go to the end of the wall. Maybe we're not where I thought we were. What direction are we facing here? We're facing east. Yeah, now we're at the end. Okay, so we apparently were down here. I didn't realize we weren't there. But anyways, we're down here. We walked over to there. It's teleported us here. So now we're facing east up here. So if I look down there, I'll see a long hallway. Down there, I'll see that hallway. And then that'll just be the wall. And then around this corner is going to be the portal to Thelos. So there's nothing left now but to walk through. So this is the ending. You stand outside the Undercity of Thelos. You have finished your quest in Bowden and Crenshaw. Now you continue the search for your father and Thelos, the next scenario in Theldrow World of Adventure series coming soon to a map near you. So that's the end of this game. It's pretty abrupt. He did plan to do more, but his interest shifted to Delver and Cythera. But you can see the commonalities between it being a shared author. And yeah, the way the game plays is kind of like some other first-person RPGs. But I think it's an interesting game. Very simple, very short. You just have to pick up those 4 pieces and lay them out around there. And, well, the plot is simple, right? You're just looking for your father and use those 4 pieces. The game is very hard. So it's a bit of a disservice to use the word simple when doing a playthrough here. Because I cheated, right? I mean, I use tons of cheats, which I'll put online so people can see how to do it. But if you're trying to play the game as we had done before, it's definitely a hard game. I'll show you really quickly if it lets me launch reset it here. Maybe I can open Theldrow. I'll just show you, for instance, inside the text, or not the text, maybe the strings. Yeah, so for instance, the deity names are all here: Barabaku, Apika, Suza, Karnth, Scooge, Nars, Death. Hamoxie is sick and rot, Racel is healing. And then you can see if you use the clerical improvement ability, it said we were, more self-confident, there's more robust, healthier, all sorts of different things inside there. Yeah, not a whole lot that would surprise you. There's a whole bunch of icons that we saw in the game. There's also the color ones. So he did update it to have color support. So that has all of the color icons and the color maps. But nothing too sophisticated. The strings, like maybe Bowden has it, I'm not sure. Sage, for instance, yeah. So the strings, speaking with the Barkeep and the Hermit, the strings are stored in here, but they're using some sort of, it's not really an encryption, it's probably what he did with Delver and Cythera. It's kind of like a bit shift that makes it unreadable or difficult to parse, unless you do some extra ways to extract it. So, but the data is all here. It's really not a whole bunch of stuff. But anyways, that is the game of Theldrow. I will put a link to the tips and tricks, and that is a quick way to show the playthrough. Not a very long game. I think I've done a speed run of it, and you can do it in like 4 or 5 minutes if you're careful. And I've been taking my time to do it, and we did it under an hour. So, thank you for watching. You know what? I decided that I wanted to show a little bit more of the black and white version instead of stopping right there, because there's definitely an atmosphere that the black and white version has that feels a little different than the color one to me, and I thought it was a bit of a disservice not to at least show it. So here I'm just running through. This is a new character, not a cheating character, and I just bought some very basic things, a simple shield, that type of thing. And I'm just going through and picking up the first quad part, the skull. But I thought that would be a nice way to kind of showcase different things of the game with a non-cheating character, and you could see what the original black and white gameplay might be like, just a little bit more. I didn't think it was worth a separate video, so here's the path to the Dark World, and here I'm just going to go through and get the skull. But I can't access that trapdoor until I go flick the lever. But anyways, the plot is so short that it didn't feel like it was worth splitting into multiple videos, so I thought I'll just tack on a kind of sped up version here at the end of going through and fighting the creatures to pick up the skull. It's all the same, cavern graphics and things like that are the same, and monsters and whatnot are the same. There's no difference between those versions, just the color. Yeah, so here I am entering the chamber for the odd skull, or the Skull of Nernst the Goblin. And these mites are just not very tough. A pretty new character with a scimitar and a little bit of shielding will be okay. But I don't recommend this order. I definitely think you get trapped down here if you go down this early. It's better to spend some time building up your character in the woods first if you take that route. Okay, so there I am picking up the skull. Now at this point, because I didn't have any divine favor really to use recall, there wasn't anything left for this character. I just went ahead and quit. But you get the idea. You see a little bit more of what the black and white version is like, and now you've seen the whole game and gotten an idea of the atmospherics. So I just wanted to share that idea. And now I'll say thank you for watching, and be sure to check out the links if you're interested in the game.